Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Gray here. Welcome back to another video. I want to talk about how I spent $9,608.66 on food last year in the year of 2024. And so if broken down by day for just me, that would be $26.33. And so I want to talk about a couple things. One, my highest charge at a fast food restaurant was $78.59, and that was on Chipotle, which I don't know if that's really fast food, but I'm gonna count it. And then at a real restaurant, I spent $175, even at a local grill house, and that was just because we had some family coming to town. I just want to cover the whole meal, and so that's that charge. And so I also want to talk about delivery. I delivered $477.04, meaning like Doordash and pizza and things like that. And so that's kind of the three biggest charges. And then I will say over 60% of last year took place after I got married. And so we combined money. And that would mean that a lot of these charges were for two people, either two meals, or maybe she got food and I got food within a day. And so that's kind of where that number comes from. So I could take credit and I could say only half of that was me. Realistically, though, the majority of it was me. I eat out a lot. And so, meaning if half those charges again per person were spent, that would be about $13.16 each per day on fast food. Now, obviously, I don't think we ate every single day we ate out, but it was pretty close to it. There was probably a good handful of days that I didn't. Another thing to think about is this does not include groceries, which I still spent money on last year. And so, which we still bought. So why am I sharing this with you? Well, a couple reasons. One, I feel that last year, honestly, my dependency on food caused significant health problems, both mentally, physically, financially. And on top of that, it was just borderline damaging to eat fast food hundreds of times within a calendar year. And so I admit it was an obscene amount of money. And if I could go back, I honestly feel that I would feel a lot better had I invested it, spent it on anything else, saved it, or even just given it away. And so a cornerstone principle of this channel is spending money consciously and knowing where your money is going. And so the only way we do that is by tracking it meticulously every month, reviewing where it went, looking over bank statements, poring over it to really see where your money is going, and then figuring out why. It is said that personal finance is 20% head knowledge and 80% of actual behavior. And so it's really important for us to figure out, why are we spending on the things that we're spending on? And so for me, I noticed that I spend a lot of my income, evidently so, on fast food, typically unneeded fast food. And so really quick though, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name's Grayson. I do a deep dive on business and personal finance, and we kind of look into that kind of stuff. And so today I'm kind of sharing a personal story, one that blends money, health, habits, things like that all together, and how it all affects the life that I want to build. And so this is more money focused, but it's not exactly the normal content I talk about. So if you want to check out some of my other videos, I'm going to have them pop up occasionally throughout the video. But as well, this is more than just about food. And while I'm very embarrassed to compare this closely kept secret from my financial community, I'm just kidding. Especially after learning that the average American family only spends $2,500 a year, I want to reevaluate for 2025. I know it's March. I've been reevaluating, but I want to reevaluate for 2025 and focus on changing the habits and focus on changing the root of the issue. And so I know I'm not here alone, whether it's stress or convenience or just bad habits or money stress. Many of us use food, maybe other things, as coping mechanisms. It's just easier to think. It's a few bucks here and there, but I've learned the hard way that it can add up pretty quick. And so in my typical style, I want to make it hurt more because I'm a masochist apparently, and I want to see what 9K could have been over time invested in the market, because this is just how I think. And so one quick side note though, as I said, my health and eating habits last year were impacted a lot. I had a couple major life changes, from getting married to new responsibilities to moving into a new place to getting a new job and work stress and all that kind of stuff. I kind of found myself turning to fast food as an escape, and so it seemed like an easy idea and an easy thing to do with the pressures of life, but it wasn't really a solution at all. One particular part of this video that is definitely a vulnerable thing for me is that I went from about 240 pounds to exactly, I wish I took a photo. I didn't. I definitely should have. I went to exactly 300 pounds, which is roughly 50 to 60 unintentional pounds gained within a calendar year. If you know me in real life, you know I'm a giant. If you haven't seen me before, and it was just like an internet thing, I'm 6'5", so, well, 6'4" and a half. But so it sits differently on me than any normal person. But this channel is about personal finance and business. It's not really about, being an athlete or being in good shape. I'm by no means a personal trainer, but it is the awesome and also awful part about personal finance is that everything that's important to you that you do can be tracked back to your money. And so I don't really use cash. You could lose the ability to refer back to things if you spend money with cash, but most of us, we use our card now. And so you can see your great sense of worldly security and your biggest source of stress can come from how much you have in the bank. And sadly, that also means that how you spend the money bestowed to you can be shown also through that bank. And so for me, I think I use an irresponsible amount on fast food. That was definitely not a necessity, but a crutch to hold up my unhealthy work habits. And on top of that, just mixed with new and growing responsibilities, that's just kind of what I went to. And so I don't know if a lot of you can relate to that, but for me at least, I found that due to my poor eating habits and lack of restraint and planning, I was left spending 300 to 500% more on meals that I could have made at home, that would have been 100 times more nutritious, less calorically dense, a lot more tastier, and sadly, I cannot go back in time and uneat foods. That'd be the most useless superpower, but I can only look forward. I can only go forward. And so for this year, I've set my goal to lose weight. I have put on, and maybe put a little muscle on in the process. So far, I'm down about 18 to 20 pounds. I'm around the 282 mark and kind of going back down. I've been going to the gym more consistently, most importantly, counting my calories. If I can do a spreadsheet for my personal finances down to the cent, I can probably do it for the calories that I'm eating. And so breaking habits like this is kind of just like cutting costs. It requires a shift in mindset and then also a deeper understanding of why you're doing something. And so fast food wasn't really the issue for me. It was the mindset that got me there and why I was eating the fast food. And so if I can change that, so can you. So better health, both physically and mentally, I hope will lead to better money management and maybe even higher income. I've kind of noticed that the healthier I am, the more productive I can be at work, so the more money I can make. And so I encourage you to take a hard look at your own habits, whether it's food, shopping, entertainment, whatever it might be. Ask yourself, is this helping me reach my long-term goals? And so maybe it's time to invest in you and your future. And so anyway, back to the regularly scheduled programming of me looking at the money I could have had. So $9,000 invested over 1 year, or $750 a month, over 10 years at a 10% continued rate of return. And so that's going to be the rate that I use for all of these numbers. After 10 years is going to be $173,241.57. After 20 years, it's $599,241.92. And after 44, meaning when I am 65 years old, it's going to come out to $6,734,725.70. And so, of course, you have to remember that I'm consistently investing the same amount that I spent last year into the S&P 500 or retirement or however you want to break it up. But honestly, I can kind of predict that if I can find this amount of money to blow on food unnecessarily, then I can probably find this amount of money, possibly more, to invest. And so if we go back to the average family of two and how much they spend on eating out, let's say those guys give up eating out. They could save $2,500 a year, and they could invest that, which is about $210 a month. Invested 10 years, $48,455.77. 20 years, $167,653.19. And by the age of retirement will be $1,884,397.91, which is a modest income of a little more than $45,000 a year, kind of depending on inflation and also the rate in which you take out, but it's at least that. And so that's not breathtaking numbers. But that could be the start of absolutely life-changing money and life-changing circumstances, because a little dedication now can create a better life for tomorrow. And so if I had invested $9,000 into the stock market, by the time I'm 65, I could have $6.7 million. And so that's not to talk about what I actually invested last year, but that could have been life-changing money, especially if that was on top of the other stuff that I already did manage to invest. So when I look back at my fast food spending, I don't remember any of the meals that I ate. I might remember some of the memories of the people I ate the food with, but I don't really remember what I ate. I don't get any particularly good feelings when it comes to looking at that number and knowing that's how much I spent on fast food. And so for me, the goal now is pretty simple. Cut down on those unnecessary expenses, rebuild my health, and make smarter financial decisions going into 2025. And so it's about taking small steps every single day. And I've already lost 18 pounds. I'm working towards more financially secure future, and I'm confident that you can do the same. And so here's to a healthier body, a fuller wallet, and a better future. So have you ever thought about how much you spend on fast food? What's kind of your guilty pleasure spending? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Adios.